Welcome to the 10-Minute Treasurer. My name is Jeff Pospisil. And in this video, this is the second part of my foundation series where I'm looking at setting up the governing documents for a church foundation. And there is going to be a link to the template. I borrowed this template from Grand Forks Wesley United Methodist Church. Great church, had a really good document to start with. And this section I'm going to go over, like it says on the screen, 501c3, members, and directors. I'm going to start by looking about halfway down on the first page of the template. And this is the 501c3 language that you should include in your articles of incorporation. So, and why is this important? So while a church is by default a 501c3, meaning that people can give to that organization and get a charitable contribution deduction on their taxes. I don't believe a church foundation is by default. And maybe I'm wrong, but I see a lot of churches, their foundation will apply for 501c3 status. So, and when you apply for it, you're going to have to show this language in your articles of incorporation. And so they're going to look for, why are you in operation? And so we're in it for charitable purposes, exclusively for charitable purposes. The other thing they're going to look for is, are people that are part of your organizations, the leaders and the members, are they in it for a profit? And that's what this basically says. We're not in it to profit. Yes, there might be some compensation or reimbursements, but we're not in it for a profit. We're not going to try to maximize the amount we're paying to our people. The next one is that we're not in it to be lobbyists either. We're not in it to be political activists. You can touch on politics or anything else, like, for example, if there's I don't know, legislation maybe that affects the poor, maybe you can do a little bit of advocacy there, but that's not our main purpose. And then the next one is basically saying we're doing the best we can to make sure that anybody that gives donations to us, it's exempt from tax purposes. So kind of the catch-all is what that one feels like. The next section we're going to look at is Article 2, and it's on membership. So all corporations, they have membership. And this was so well done, so well done. I can't emphasize enough how well done this part was, because what I've seen from time to time is that a foundation, a church foundation, they'll take on a life of their own. And they'll end up pursuing their own purposes, their own agendas. They'll set up their own little fiefdom, and a church has to go there and they have to beg for money from the foundation. And it becomes a very unhealthy, might be, there's probably some stronger, better word I could use, but anyway, it's just not good. This makes it very clear there is one member, and that member is the church. The church owns this foundation. So I really, really like that. And it even goes on further that, hey, guess what? The church tells the foundation what to do. The foundation does have specific rules. We're going to get into that a little bit more. The foundation has other duties to protect the church from itself, but at least it does set it up that the main purpose of the foundation is to help serve the church, its sole member. The next section we get to is the board of directors. And this one, it sets it up as the board of directors has 8 people. And that's not bad, but you think, well, what about a tie vote? Well, what they say then is the senior pastor is there by virtue of office. So that ends up being the 9th vote, or the tie-breaking vote. And then the other person that sits there is the chairperson of the leadership, the church leadership board. And that person, though, is a non-voting member. So that's an interesting way to set it up. So I think that's probably a good way. Again, you got 9 people there. The senior pastor is a voting member. The leader of the church board is there as well, but they're a non-voting member. And now we get to the part that talks about the terms of service for a board director. And what they do is they serve a standard 3-year term, and it's an unlimited number of terms that they could serve. And normally I like to see a little bit of turnover in my boards, because then you bring in some fresh ideas and maybe some renewed enthusiasm. But for a church foundation, when you're dealing with long-term funds, long-term commitments, long-term strategies, I can see why you want that continuity. But even though you can serve an unlimited number of terms, when somebody is getting close to the end of their term, I would really want them to actually consider, okay, you are free to go. Do you want to renew your service? And we thank you for your service, but if you think it's time for you to step aside, that's also fine too. So I just encourage you to make it known that it's just not an automatic thing, and we just keep upping people until they eventually pass away or move away. So. All right, that brings us to the end. Again, just to recap, we want to make sure we get that 501c3 language in the governing documents so that way we can receive charitable contributions and give them the tax write-off. And we also want to make sure that it's clear that the church owns the foundation. It's not that the foundation owns the church and the church has to come begging to the foundation. The church is the one that's in charge of this relationship. And then lastly, just that giving thought to how the board of directors are set up so that they run well. And that's an important thing. All right, till next time.